Good morning, everybody. First of all, would like to thank the organizers for putting this interesting conference together, and also for having me here today. It's right, we are representing a data analytics firm, but as a data analytics firm, we are industry agnostic, and that's why I picked a subject which and since any industry has a digital component, I thought I can pick any industry to talk about. And since sustainable infrastructure is a high topic here, I wanted to talk a little bit about green hydrogen. So why did I pick green hydrogen? Because in there's a lot of hype right now on electrification, electric vehicles, but I think the overall solution or the overall problem what we have on hand has not one size fits it all solution. So we need to be open-minded and look at other alternatives also for energy production and for decarbonization. And one such aspect is and can be green hydrogen. So now, hydrogen as such is not something which is also new. It's widely used, and you all used also hydrogen-enabled products, most probably for breakfast this morning, because in agricultural, every fertilizer is ammonia-based, which is a byproduct of hydrogen, or we need hydrogen to make it. But this hydrogen is not green hydrogen. And that's what we are trying to talk about here. This is what it's called gray hydrogen. This is hydrogen produced with fossil fuels, and it's therefore not really sustainable. So hydrogen is not only, of course, a power source for vehicles, it's also used in many other aspects, and that's also very important, because if you look at if I would have given you a pie chart here today about the consume or the production of CO2 in an industrial nation, there would be only 20 or 30% coming from energy. So if we switch to renewable energy, we tackle 30% of our CO2 emissions. The other emissions come from agriculture, they come from cement, they come from steel, and that cannot be tackled with green energy alone. That I might drop some lines on that going forward. So what does actually green hydrogen mean? So, as I already said, to produce hydrogen, you need energy, because hydrogen, while one of our most abundant elements on Earth, it is also highly reactive. So it doesn't come, it's not in pure form available. So if you want to have it in pure form, you have to break it up from an existing molecular connection, and the most common would be water, because it's H2O, so you have two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom, and to split that up, one solution is electrolysis. That's also not rocket science, it's widely available, and most probably all of us in physics class in school have experimented with that. So, but that needs, as I said, energy. And the energy, and that's the new thing, so to speak, has to be green. So it has to come from renewable energy sources to make this process. And that leads to a couple of aspects what we need to look into it. One is the infrastructure. So, I mean, hydrogen is because it's highly reactive, it's difficult to store. So you need highly pressurized tanks. But if you do that, you can also move it around and transport it. And there's been just now a paper published by a German university that natural gas lines can be also used to pump in hydrogen through it. And that brings us to the advantage also, if you combine it again with green energy, is that renewable energy has a big disadvantage. It is produced where you don't need it, and it's most of the time produced when you don't need it. So it's produced in wind parks on the sea, where you don't have an industrial plant, or you have solar panels in a desert, where again there is no industrial plant or nobody living there. So the problem is the storage or the transportation. That is one aspect which can also be tackled with green hydrogen to a certain extent. Obviously, it's why is it not yet much more widespread? And a big problem here is simply that it's expensive, and especially when we look at the electrolyzers, that's a technology, while available, it's still very expensive to make it, and that will be the tackling point to make this all more viable, and that's why it needs investments, and the investments can come, of course, from the private sector, but the private sector needs at least some support, and support could be in certain financial help, but more important is a legal framework, so that if you invest in it, you have a certain security or a certain long-term planning, because this will not go overnight. So that's why I'd like to put a couple of things on the India story along this line, since we are here, and not only because we are here, but because I think in this green hydrogen ecosystem globally, India can play a pivotal role. One is because we have a lot of investment in green energy, and we have also a lot of we have a lot of open space still where we can produce green energy, especially for solar. We are much better off than, for instance, Europe. And the other thing is we have also a couple of initiatives from the government, but also from the private sector. So it was Reliance who 2-3 years ago made this magic 1-1-1 target, so $1 per kilogram within 1 decade, and that would be the game changer, of course, no? Because right now it's all way too expensive, but if you reach this target, then we're talking business. And if Reliance says that, they should be also capable to make this happen, because if you just look at the business model, what they did with Geo, if they to a certain extent fine-tune it, replicate it here, and only in India you can replicate it, then they can make this happen. And that could be then also interesting what we put here, that we can also export this kind of green hydrogen globally, and this can be very important for this kind of development. And the other thing is, what I already mentioned before, is the electrolyzers. Now, the electrolyzers is still a bottleneck because they're still expensive. But again, an electrolyzer, once you have the right market behind it, it can be definitely made into a commodity. Again, it will not happen overnight, but if you reduce the cost there, then you have again a good opportunity to make green hydrogen viable. So where does it end here? I think the key takeaway would be for me, or for what I would like to give every audience some thoughts to think about it, and also to see that we should keep an open mind on this technology. As I said, it needs still a lot of R&D. It needs a lot of investment to make it really happen and viable. As a whole, it's, I think, crucial for us to make this happen. And again, with all the electrification hype, we also need to keep in mind that, especially in transport, not everything can be electrified. I mean, big ships will be difficult to run on battery power. And at the same time, just one final thought for the break or whatever is 40 of the biggest cruise ships emit more CO2 than all the cars on the roads in Europe. So there's a lot of things to be done here as well in this sector. So my time is up. So with this, I would like to hand over to the moderator again.